Hi, my name is Tyvis Powell, former Ohio State Buckeye and national champion DB. Welcome to the Buckeye Cast. These guys was born and bred in the Buckeye State, and they like to talk Buckeye football and drink bourbon. Subscribe to the show. Now pour up a drink and pull up a stool. Here's your host, Joe Warwick. Get him, Joe.
All right, Tyvis, I appreciate you. Good, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome into your Buckeye Rush Hour for a Friday. Yes, the Rush Hour is back. No hurricane could keep me off the mic for too long. I know you guys miss me, right? Right? Anyway, October 18th, 2024 is your date. And, back in the friendly confines, next to the golf course. It looks like hammered shit. And next to all the people's who lived on the first floor, all their shit strewn in the streets. Cabinets, kitchen cabinets, furniture, everything. Mattresses. It's a nightmare out there. Anyway, so hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I know you got a ton of options out there when it comes to Ohio State football and just college football shows in general. So I appreciate you making me part of your day. Burp. Had some trail mix earlier. It's coming back at me. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the second half of this Buckeye season. Are there any possible pitfalls with this schedule? This is the key, like Coach Tress used to say, November is for contenders. That is us. We are them. So we're going to go through the schedule. I do have some quick updates today. And from yesterday, actually. Yesterday, Ryan Day announced on his radio show with Jim and Paul that Zen Michalski will get the start at left tackle going forward. He also said they will need to have some contingency plans in place. What that entails, who's to say? I don't know. We'll see. I would imagine in some cases it probably includes Austin Saraveld as a possible option. I talked about it the other day on one of the Daily Blitz episodes. What day was that? It was Wednesday. That was my biggest concern, what do you do with this left tackle position? Most important, really the most important position outside of quarterback on the offense. It's hard to have a functional offense without a solid left tackle you can trust and rely on, especially as a quarterback. And then, include running the ball. Yeah, that's a big deal. So I do have a video I want to play for you later about this Buckeye defense. I'm sure we're going to get some comments and questions about that. So I will play that for you before we get out. I'm trying to get the best bets show out the door for tonight, so I'll go ahead and give you my best bet for the Friday night game. Oregon at Purdue. I'm taking Purdue plus 29. Give me all those points, every single one of them. I think Oregon, we've heard this recent stat, people are kicking around about Big Ten teams traveling more than 2 time zones. They don't fare well, whether they're going east or west. So Oregon just had a sledgehammer game against us last Saturday night. Now they got a short week, and they got to fly cross country to the shithole in Indiana, a pig farm in Indiana. So good luck getting up for that one. Anyway, so that's my best bet. I'll try and get the rest of the show out tonight for you so you can get your bets in for Saturday, but that's the only Friday night game. Purdue plus 29, and we'll see what happens. The other piece of news announced today that running back Quinshon Judkins had a procedure done on his hand during the week. He will not miss any time, though, so a minor procedure. There were rumors last week before the Oregon game that he had heard it in practice. A broken thumb was kind of the rumor about. I don't know exactly what it was. Nobody's talking about it, of course. But so Judkins had something done on his hand. Maybe you credit that fumble credit that hand injury to the fumble. That big fat bastard ran into him and smashed his hand against him. So sucks, but at least Judkins won't miss any time. We'll see if they give him limited reps against Nebraska next week as we get geared up for them. So those are the two pieces of news regarding the team and health and things like that. So let's get into this second half of the season. I'm going to run through each game, week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Got 5 of them here. I can count. And if you got any questions or comments, drop them in the chat. I will get to them. But I'm going to run through these games, and you guys can let me know how you feel about them. I do want to check one thing while I'm blabbering on. Okay. So on betonline.ag, unofficial betting platform of this show. I said not official, unless they want to pay me. They're not putting up any of the future games, at least not yet. They're not putting up any games past this weekend. I know FanDuel and BetOnline or DraftKings, some of them are doing like the Cheaters game, the Penn State game, some of those that are down the road, and you can get action on them. But right now on this platform, on this site, they're not letting us do that. Hopefully they do soon. I do have a bet I locked in back in the summertime of the Buckeyes minus 6.5 against the Cheaters. Got that back in, where was this? It was January 26th. So back in the winter of this year. Nice. Anyway, nobody cares about that, so I will stop talking about it. All right, so let's talk about this second half of the season. So the margin for error is very, very thin. We all know it. A two-loss team, and Ohio State especially, will get into the playoffs. But 3, I doubt it. You're playing with fire there, and so that basically says we're 5-1 now. Worst case scenario, we go 4-1. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I'm sorry. We got 6 more games. I miscounted. Weeks 9 through 14. So anyway, so you're 5-1 now. Worst case scenario, you can go 5-1 on the second half of this season and still make the playoffs. Now, I know, I hear you yelling. Nobody wants that. I don't want that. You don't want that. But worst case scenario, maybe you blow the game at Penn State. Something like that could happen. That's just me spitballing here. But anyway, let's start it off here. We'll talk about this Nebraska game. Let's see. Who have they played? Who has Nebraska played, actually? That's the question. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen a bit of Nebraska. Okay, so UTEP, they beat 40-7. Colorado, 28-10. Northern Iowa, 34-3. Illinois, they lost to Illinois, their only ranked opponent, and their only loss in the Big Ten, 31-24 they lost. At Purdue, they won 28-10. And then versus Rutgers in Nebraska, they won 14-7. Wow, that must have been a riveting game. Yeah. Let's see where these guys are ranking, where their stats are coming up here, because I want to see what points they're. Okay, they're only putting up 27 points a game. That's 62nd in the country. Yards per game, they're 73rd. They're only putting up 370. Yards per play, 86th. So this offense is not doing much at all, as you can see with the 14-7 Rutgers game. Let's see what they did against this Illinois team. I want to look at that. So Nebraska put up 345 on offense, 300 through the air. So Dylan Ravioli lighting it up. Only 48 yards on the ground. Holy crap, that's terrible. But on the season, they're 81st in the country, putting up 135 per game. Now, let's see what Ravioli did here on his attempts. 24 of 35, okay. 297, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. That sounds like his typical stat line. Illinois, I'm surprised they allowed 24 points here. I was expecting to see a better line from this defense of Illinois. But looking at this Nebraska offense, again, I said 81st on rushing yards per game. Passing yards per game, they're 53rd, so they're letting Ravioli spin it around the lot. His completion percentage, 65. Not bad. I'll take that, especially for a freshman quarterback. And he's not throwing a lot of INTs. Excuse me. I need a drink of water. They're 19th in the country in interceptions, and so that's good. Turnover margin. This defense is their strong suit. Plus 1.2 turnover margin. That's 8th in the country. That's impressive to me. But they also love to commit some penalties. And when I say love to commit penalties, I'm talking 8.4 per game. That's 125th in the country. So let's checking things. Oh, I forgot to do my banner. I got to get my banner set up. Anybody want to be a producer on this show? It pays nothing. Be helpful, though. Thanks. I have to do everything myself, right? But if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. There you go. There's your banner. And don't forget, hey, like and subscribe, por favor. I'll let that spin for a bit till you get annoyed. All right, I'm just talking to myself here. So this Nebraska defense is kind of where I left off. The penalties, terrible. So they're going to give you some free yards through the penalties. Now their defense here, these guys are only allowing 13 points a game. Again, yes, who have they played? I will listen to that argument, but you can only play the teams that are in front of you. Like a wise man once said, it is what it is. It's my favorite saying ever. Irritates me to no end. When you play the likes of Rutgers, Purdue, Illinois, and then 3 garbage non-con games, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get highly ranked. So 8th in the country, allowing 13 points a game. Yards per game, 267. That's also 8th in the country. So they're allowing their opponents. So third down conversions, 38th. I don't expect this to be much of a ball game. Maybe in the first half, I think the Buckeyes are going to roll pretty easily, especially looking at this pass defense. 31st in the country. I know that's top half of the country, but they're allowing almost 200 yards a game to their opponents, and completion percentage of 60%. That's 55th in the country. So that's not great, and I think that's how the Buckeyes are going to light them up. Yes, they can't stop the run. They're 2nd in the country, allowing 73 yards per game on the ground, but we're still going to run for over 100 yards, guaranteed that. It's just a question of if Quinshawn plays or not, and we're still going to run over him. So I think I got this. We got to be like a 20-point spread, I would guess, 20.5. Buckeyes would be favored. So it's a home game in Columbus. I think it's easily 20, 21, something like that. So I got the Buckeyes winning that one pretty easily. So that makes Buckeyes 1-0. Next up, you got the Knits. We got to go talk to the Knits over there in Slappy Valley with their stupid cat noises. This is an even matchup. Offensively, we have the better offense. There's no doubt about that. Now, their new OC, Andy Kotelnicki, Dude came over from Kansas. This dude has them doing some crazy shit. Have you seen a Penn State game? I watched last week. Tyler Warren, the tight end, lined up in like 20 different positions. He was a center. He's out there as a receiver. He played quarterback. This guy's all over the place. So where it gets even is on the defensive side of the ball. Yards per play, we've got a slight edge, 4.2 to 4.3, the Buckeyes in favor there. Opponent completion percentage, though, Penn State is at 58% of their opponent completion percentage. So that's solid. And then third down conversions, they're better at shutting down the third downs. Red zone scoring, our defense is actually better. But looking at these two offenses, rushing yards, the Buckeyes are 19th in the country, putting up 208.8 per game. Penn State is 10th in the country, allowing 95. So something's got to give there. You got two strengths going against each other. Passing yards, the Buckeyes are 18th in the country, lighting it up with 294. Then Penn State, they're 14th in the country, allowing 168 per game to their opponents. So strength against strength here all across the board, Buckeye offense versus Penn State defense. Now when you flip it, you got a Penn State offense that is better, much better than under, Yursich. But this Buckeye defense is top 10 in pretty much every category. Now, Penn State's putting up 34 points a game. They're putting up 471 on yards per game. But the Buckeye defense is allowing 11 points a game and only allowing 252 yards per game. That's third and fourth in the country. Yards per play, Penn State's putting up 7.1. That's ninth. We're seventh in the country, allowing 4.2. And again, pretty much even in the third down conversions. They're 19th. We're 20th, allowing our opponents 32%. And then the red zone scoring, we're 10th in the country, allowing 70%. So running down the list here, very evenly matched, the Penn State offense versus the Buckeye defense. The question is, when it comes down to situational football, even the passing yards, the Buckeyes are in favor here. They're 12th in the country. Penn State is 27th on offense in their passing yards. What's the turnover margin? Buckeyes have a better turnover margin. They're at plus 0.7, not great. That's 26, but Penn State is at minus 0.3. That's 52nd in the country. So if we can turn them over, that will definitely make a big difference, as we always see with these two teams. Penn State, they don't really do much in penalties, 5.5 a game. So this is going to be a tight one. This is in Happy Valley. I think this is going to be like a 3.5 point spread, 3 to 4, somewhere in there. Buckeyes will be favored, but we'll see. We'll see. I think we win this game in a tight one. It really, again, this left tackle position has me really concerned, and Will Howard cannot have these bonehead plays against the Penn State. We've seen Justin Fields fumble the ball multiple times against Penn State, almost lose to them. So we've got to be clean in our execution, but we can win this game without much headache. So I got the Buckeyes beating Penn State as well. So we're at 2-0. Next up, the Boilers, spoiler makers as they're known today, going to Columbus. This is going to be a huge spread, probably similar to that Oregon spread tonight, probably 28, 29, 30 points, especially in Columbus. That could get up into the 30s, 34, 34 and a half. So the Buckeyes are going to crush these fools. Do we need to get into it? Purdue's offense is horrible, 109th in the country in points per game, 121st yards per game. The Buckeyes, again, top 10 in all defensive categories. So Purdue can't throw the ball. They can't run the ball. They're 77th in the country in rushing yards. They put up 138 And then throwing the ball, they're 122nd out of 130 some teams, whatever it is. So they can barely throw for $150 a game. So yeah, it's not going to be pretty. This is going to be a bloodbath. Get the boys out early, get them some rest, and I call for an easy win, probably 5 touchdowns. So Buckeyes are 3-0. That's good. Then you got to go. This game concerns me only because of the messed up situation with the stadium. These two teams are not even close to even. It's not in the same ballpark, which unfortunately the ballpark for this game is Wrigley Field. Ever heard of it? It's a baseball stadium. You've got to be freaking kidding me, man. We're playing a football game. Ohio State, the Buckeyes, perennial powerhouse, are playing in Wrigley freaking Field. Shoot me in the face, man. Anyways, again, this is going to be another 5 touchdown spread. Take with no weather conditions. With weather, if if it's windy and rainy like we've dealt with before up there, then knock down probably 2 touchdowns off of that, make it like 21 or something. But yards per play, 7.5 to 4.4 comparing these two offenses. Completion percentage, these guys complete 53% of their passes. We're at 72%. Third down conversions, these morons are at 28%. Pathetic. And then the defenses, third down conversions, they're at 37%. They allow their opponents. Red zone scoring, 81%. Yards per play, 5.2. So, yeah. You could turn around and hand it off all day long to Trey and Quinshon, and they're going to fall down for 5 to 6 yards every play. And just do that up and down the field. So, another easy victory. So, I got the Buckeyes 4-0 with this matchup with the Hoosiers. So, who saw this coming? I didn't. I did not see Indiana being undefeated. Yeah, they're above us in the Big Ten standings right now. Puke on my microphone. But they played FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern. Who's the best team out of that cluster? Maryland? They beat them 42-28. These guys are putting up numbers, but again, it's against garbage teams. They got 41 on Northwestern, 42 on Maryland, Charlotte 52, UCLA 42, 77 on Western Illinois. That'll help your averages. 31 on FIU. Now, Indiana does have Nebraska this week, so maybe we'll see some coming back down to earth stats. And Washington after that. They do have the cheaters the week before we play them. That could be an issue. So, looking at some of the stats here, again, skewed is probably an understatement right here. 5 o'clock. Skewed stats are an understatement. There's no freaking way Indiana is going to be in the top 20 right now. They're top 10 in points per game, yards per game, points per play, yards per play, third down conversion percentage. You got to be kidding me, man. This is not going to last, right? The slipper has to come off at some point. Is that how the saying goes? I don't know. Rush, and they're doing it through the air. They're 45th in the country in rushing, 176 yards a game. It's nice, but throwing the ball, 302.8 per game. That's 12th in the country. So these guys want to throw it around. Fine, just let's tee up and heat up that quarterback. Let's get blitzing all day long. We're going to talk about Ohio State's pressure issues in a minute. So, yeah, yards per game, they're putting up 303 through the air. That's 12th in the country. That's impressive. But, again, skewed, right? I mean, very skewed. Turnover margin is 0. That's 63rd in the country. Penalties, nothing. They're 74th, 6 per game, so not a big deal. So, their defense is good too, but wait till you play somebody, man. They're top 20 in opponent points per game allowed, opponent yards per game allowed, yards per play. They're all top 20 in these things. 30th in third down conversions of opponents. They do allow opponent red zone scoring of 100%. So we'll take that. Our offense is 100% as well. So this is not going to be an issue. Passing yards per game, these numbers, I take them with a grain of salt, honestly. So I see this probably being, this is in Columbus. This has to be a 20 and a half point spread. I think Indiana might be able to move the ball a little bit, as we've seen some of the defensive issues with our pass defense and lack of pressure. But I think we still win this game comfortably by 2 to 3 touchdowns easily. They'll probably keep their starters in and keep whipping the ball around a lot, Let's do that. So, keep your comments coming. I'm going to get to them. Hey, we got some viewers over here. Is anybody watching on Instagram? Oh, yeah, we got somebody watching on Instagram. I don't know how to pronounce that name. And we got some people watching over on the Twitter. I think we're about a week away from being able to have Facebook up and running live. So there's that to look forward to, which is nice. Okay, so we're 5-0, bringing up the game of the year. The Cheaters come to town. I don't think there's a COVID outbreak yet, cross your fingers, that they can claim as an excuse to stay home. So I think they're going to have to actually show up this year. Cheaters did not look great against Texas or any of these teams, honestly. They looked terrible against USC too, and Minnesota. And then they took the L to Washington last week, 27-17. These guys are having a tough time putting up points. I don't understand why. This vaunted passing game of the Cheaters is just lighting up the scoreboard, right? I mean, looks like right now the Buckeyes are favored by 10 on some books, over under 47.5. So there's that. Now, with all the numbers this offense is putting up for the Buckeyes, we do have to deal with this Michigan defense. They do not suck. They're not as good as last year, but they're 41st in the country, allowing 22.3 points per game to their opponents. They allow 336 yards per game to their opponents. That's 31st. Yards per play, 4.8. That's 23rd. Not bad. Third down conversions, though, they're slipping here. 41% of fourth down conversions they allow to their opponents. That's 73rd in the country. That's not good. Red zone scoring by opponents, 82.6%. That's pretty high. Now, running the ball, this is where they are strongest, right? Grant and Graham down in there in the D-line, getting stops, pushing back O-linemen. Rushing yards per game, they allow 76.3. That's 4th in the country. So that's going to be the big point of emphasis here for this Buckeye team. We're 19th in the country, rushing for 209 per game. So strength against strength here, right? 209 versus 76. Can we meet in the middle somewhere? Can we at least get more than half of that 209 against these Cheaters? Then the passing game. So this is where they are susceptible. This is where they can get got. The Buckeyes put up 294 through the air as an offense. That's 18th in the country. The Cheater defense allows 260 per game. That's 102nd. They have a couple fish in their backfield, their defensive backfield, and they can be found. So they have been found, and teams have exploited them badly, or well, however you look at it. So 102nd in the country in opponent yards per game allowed through the air. Completion percentage, they're 77th. They allow a 62% completion percentage. We're 4th at 72nd. They don't get picks, and they get some pressure on the quarterback. They're 50th in the country in QB sack percentage. And then we know they don't get a lot of penalties. They're pretty clean, under 5 penalties per game. And the turnover margin, they're 23rd. They're at 0.4. It's all Will Johnson getting those picks because people are stupid and throw to his side of the field. So this Buckeye offense, let's hope the weather's nice. Favored by 10 in Columbus. This is going to be a tight one, though. I'm not taking the Buckeyes in those points to cover the 10. It's going to be tight. We know that. Ryan Day's going to coach tight. We know that. A zebra doesn't lose his stripes, right? So this should be an easy win. We always make it more difficult than it has to be. So, why is it so hard? That's what she said. But they are not going to score on us. This Michigan offense, 23.5 points per game. That's 81st. Buckeye defense allowing 11. And all they're going to do is run it. We're 30th in the country. 7th in the country in yards allowed on the ground. We allow 87.2. They're 36 on offense. They're putting up 191. So, yeah. All right. So I got a win here too. Shocker, right? Buckeyes go 6-0, finish the season 11-1. What could be better? So let's get in here, pop in the chat, and let's talk some Buckeye football. I'm going to pop your questions and comments up on the screen. Oh, I need a drink. I felt like drinking all day long. I never poured one. So anyways, here we go. All right. Odysseus is the first one in. OH and a bunch of nuts. Odysseus. Odysseus. Odysseus says that Penn State is a must-win. Yeah, that's the one that I could see going either way. Again, it really depends on if the defense wants to show up, get pressure on Aller, and we got to cover Tyler Warren. It seems pretty simple. I mean, to oversimplify it. Steven says, hey. Odysseus says, hey. Steven says, me too, Joe. Is that the Oregon game? You got Oregon? Purdue with the points? I figured you would. Odysseus says, West Lafayette is a house of horrors. It is. Who could have thought? I've seen Children of the Corn way too many times. All right, Odysseus says, wonder if Q broken hand led to fumble. Totally different game if he holds on. Yeah, exactly. Ryan Day said as much on his radio show yesterday. He said that losing the turnover battle is one of the 3 things that costs the game. And, yeah, he might have broken it there. I did hear rumors last week that he had hurt his hand, but it was never confirmed by anybody. PC's in. He says, afternoon all. Go Bucks. Steven says, hey. PC says, PSU is a must-win. That one is going to be huge. Got to win that one. If not, I'm about 50-50 whether or not we make the CFP. I agree 100%. I think we definitely win out outside of the Penn State game. So that's the only tough one that's hanging out there. So we'll see. Frosty Mug, what's up? Cool name. Says, I don't expect Oregon to cover. Lanning shut down the offense in the second half against Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State. He's more focused on building depth than point spread. Okay. Glad I took Purdue. Count it. Odysseus says Franklin will Franklin. Yes, Franklining is a verb. Replacing Clemsoning, kind of. Frosty Mug says next year it should be a $21 million roster and pick up an extra tackle. I'm fine with that. Somebody better get on that fundraising, though. Where you at, Bjork? Better start getting some checks. PC says Illinois is going to bite the cheaters. Book it. Okay. I took Illinois in that game, too. I think it was a 5-point spread. Illinois is getting 5 at home. I agree. Odysseus says D-line needs to get after Ravioli. Nebraska pass pro is not the best. Excellent point. Yep. Exactly. Their offense is not their strong suit. Their defense might keep them in a game, but I'm not too worried about Nebraska. Sage, what's up, Sage? Hello to you. Odysseus says Nebraska's kind of Iowa light on defense. Yeah. Actually, Iowa's not Iowa anymore on defense, at least not this year. Cooper DeJean is not walking through that door. PC says, early in the season, I heard Ravioli was looking pretty good. Today I heard he was hot garbage. What's the real deal? I don't know. I haven't watched him. I would say he looked good here against, who was that? Shit. I just had their stats up. He was good against Illinois. Went for almost 300, right? Oh, shit. Yeah, he had 297 against Illinois, which is a decent defense. But against, I don't know if you can measure him against Purdue. Maybe against Rutgers, that's a better defensive team. He only put up 134 and had a pick, no touchdowns. So I'd say maybe Illinois' defense isn't as good or something. Who knows? Sage says Nebraska-Indiana game could be interesting. I agree. That is going to be very interesting. Homecoming. Okay. That's a homecoming game. Interesting. I like that. Yeah, that game's gonna really determine who that fourth team is going to be out of the Big Ten into the playoffs. They could have a huge impact on that. Odysseus says USC ran on PSU. Yep. I think that's going to be the Buckeyes' pattern as well. I think they're going to follow that trend. Because this Penn State defense is not as good as past years, you know. I know they got Abdul Carter and Dennis Danny Sutton and all that, but they're not you know, even as good as Chop Robinson, you know. I forget Micah Parsons, not even close. Odysseus says Penn State game will come down to winning the turnover battle. Yep, exactly. We've seen it, man. Remember when Fields fumbled? He fumbled going into the end zone. Fumbled, had a huge loss behind the line of scrimmage on a fumbled snap. We've seen it happen. Odysseus says, I bet JT shows up big again. That'd be nice. At least one game a season for JT to show up. Kind of frustrated with him and Jack. I think most of Buckeye Nation is. Sage says, Penn State, I just wait for the Franklin factor. Exactly. He tried to lose that game last week. He tried. He tries every week. Sage says, remember when we played Northwestern at Cleveland Municipal Stadium? Yeah, that was a long time ago. Was that early 2000s, late 90s, I want to say? That was weird. Mike, what's up, Mike? How you doing? Welcome to the show. He says, I got Nebraska for the upset. Okay. I think you're onto something there. I think Indiana's a bit of fool's gold. They've been getting fat and happy on some garbage teams here. Lighten up the scoreboard. Lighten up a SIG. Coach SIG, right? That was a good one. Hey-o. Odysseus says might be a 2014-esque Indiana game this year. You think like a shootout? High-scoring affair? God, I hope not. I can't handle that. Allowing a lot of points to Indiana is not for me. That does not make me feel good. Mike says Nebraska best off season hire was John Butler. Secondary is kicking in now. Okay, their defense is good, man. Yeah, I got no issue with that. Odysseus says I'd play Bear versus the Cheaters almost exclusively. Yeah, Bear front. I agree. I would bring 8, maybe even 9 down into the box. Make Tuttle try and throw the ball over your heads. I don't think he can do it. Can't do it. Odysseus, crossing routes versus Martindale blitzes. Yeah, it's going to be a throwback game, isn't it? Crossing routes, yes. You get a crossing route, and you get a crossing route, and you get a crossing route. Odysseus says, run to the outside and get those DTs tired. Exactly. That's what Texas did, man. That is the key. Run when they're in the game. You can run side to side, or throw like swing passes, screen passes, work the edges to get them running around. Then when they get tired, come out of the game. That depth at D tackle is not the same as their starters, not even close. So then you pound them up the middle. That's exactly what Texas did. Kevin Chavis, what's up, Kevin? How you doing? He says, I think we beat Michigan worse than Texas did. Bucks by 20. Woo, doggy. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. Oh, and he ups the ante. 24 maybe. All right. I like it. PC comes in. Joe, is Thurman going to get more run now? I really hope so. He has to. I mean, just because Kazmarek looks like he's going to be out for a bit. He had his arm in a sling after the game. So it must have happened on that near catch that should have not been a catch against Oregon. So, yeah, Jelani has to go. Jelani has to go. I just had his snap counts up here for the entire the entire tight end group. Let me pull that back up real quick, because he was doing really well in run blocking, the run blocking grades. Hold on a sec. Here we go. But let's go positions, tight ends. Okay. Yeah, Jelani has played in all 6 games, has 85 total snaps, but 46 were run blocking. So in 46 run blocking snaps, he's graded out an 81.4. And you know the saying, you want the rock, you got to block. So I think Jelani has to be getting into the action here. They fed G, 3 times, 3 targets last week, 3 catches for like 50 yards. Jelani has to step up. But Bennett Christian looks like he might be the next man up after G. I think it's going to be G. Scott, Bennett Christian, then Jelani. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe there's an issue with Jelani behind the scenes that we don't know about, but he's not getting a lot of snaps. Bennett Christian, let me pull up these game-by-game snaps. Where's G? Okay. So, yeah, Jelani had 7 run blocking snaps against Akron, 13 against Western Michigan, 12 against Marshall, 6 against Michigan State, 6 against Iowa, 2 against Oregon. Just run blocking snaps. That doesn't sound like very many. That's a total of 46. His grades aren't terrible in the run blocking area. He was a 70.2. He put some dude on his back down there around the goal line when they scored. He graded out an 80 against Sparty, a 65 against Iowa. I don't know what the coaches are looking for here. They're not giving him any targets, really. Let's look at his offense. Receiving. Let's see. He has a total of targets, hello. There it is. 4 targets on the year, 2 against Western Michigan, 2 against Marshall, 1 reception on the season for 25 yards. So that's what we're dealing with here. Bennett Christian, we've seen a ramp up as we saw a decrease with Jelani's snaps we saw a ramp up here with Bennett Christian recently. Started off the season 6, 6, 8, 8, then 11 against Iowa, and 12 against Oregon. Those are his run blocking snaps. 6, 6, 8, 8, 11, 12. So kind of inverse of Jelani. And Bennett Christian's blocking numbers in run blocking are good, not great. He's had a couple good games, but then a few bad games. So I don't know what they're looking for. Kaz Merrick just had the 2 snaps against Oregon, and then G's gotten the bulk of the snaps. He's gotten 88 run blocking snaps, but G's not a good run blocker. He's horrible. I don't like G. Scott as a run blocker. You can use him as a pass catching tight end all day long. Go nuts. I don't care. He graded out week 1 a 72, then a 60, then a 40, then a 58, then a 61, and then this week against Oregon a 52. So G. Scott's not lighting up anything, but they threw him 3 balls this week. So you're going to see more G depending on how long Kazmarek is out, and more Jelani. You're going to see more Jelani, but how much? If he's 3rd on the depth chart, we'll see. PC asks, what are your thoughts on these defensive changes? What are they going to do different? Number 1, you got to figure out ways to bring more pressure. If that means blitzing, fine. Take a guy out of coverage, bring him on blitzes. You can bring safety blitzes, corner blitzes. We never bring a corner blitz for some reason. I don't know why. You can blitz Hancock out of the slot. You can bring any of the linebackers, obviously. Obviously, Jack and JT are not getting it done. This is a good time for me to cue up Mr. Saban. Hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully it's not too loud. So
great Ohio State offensive team with a lot of weapons, and then the way that Oregon just sort of picked Ohio State apart. They didn't affect the quarterback in any way, and
he had time.
And he had time, but they didn't ever pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just 4 guys rush, which that's kind of an antiquated way to play defense. And I'm not being critical of somebody's philosophy at Ohio State, but there's so much 4-man rush, simulated pressure, still able to play the coverages that you play, drop different people, rush somebody that is supposed to be dropping, drop somebody that's supposed to be rushing. And these things are ways to get pressure without giving up anything.
Yeah.
And coverage. And I think in this day and age of football, you got to go down that road a little bit, or you're going to be behind the 8 ball. Great Ohio State offensive team with a lot of weapons, and then the way that Oregon.
Okay, so hopefully you heard all of that. His point was, the main point, that the 4-man rush that the Buckeyes have used forever under Larry Johnson is an antiquated way to get pressure. He's talking about you got to bring simulated pressures, which the Buckeyes did do a little bit against Oregon, where you blitz the linebackers and you drop the D lines, or the D line, and that's the issue though, is we don't do it often enough. We don't bring extra pressure. What Saban's talking about there, again, and that's probably the issue between Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson, is this 4 down front. I know Larry's run it forever and he's had success, but you got to evolve, man. He's in his 70s, and the guy thinks there's one way to do it just because he was successful over the last 40 years. But you got to change with the times, man, especially when what you've been doing isn't working. And this is on Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, to tell Larry what they want done. So those are the big changes. And everybody's been saying it. Saban finally, people listen to him. Finally, he's putting it out there in black and white. Odysseus says Day needs to have an assistant on the sidelines exclusively for clock tracking. Yeah, somebody, because he's not good at it. Could have won if not for piss poor clock management. There are a lot of issues on that last drive, yes. A lot of issues. Rick Pierce, welcome to the show. How you doing? He says, G just cannot improve his run blocking. Liability, so disappointing. Jelani can't get it together. Yeah, I hear you. Jelani, I don't know what the issue is. I know he's only in his second year, and he's in the middle of year 2. They say that, tight end and O-line are like 3-year development things, because you have to learn how to block like an offensive lineman. You have to learn how to catch like a receiver and run routes. But at some point, just get the freaking guy out there. I mean, he's doing well in run blocking with limited action. He's got half as many snaps as G. Scott. So let's see him out there. I mean, Bennett Christian's not lighting it up. G. Scott's not. So what are we doing at some point? Why can't we get Jelani out there? So he's got the size. What is he, like freaking 6'6", 260? This dude's a monster. I don't know what the issue is. But anyway. I got no more comments. Okay, folks. I'm going to go pour myself a drink. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Please hit like and subscribe on the video. And me, Jeff, and Sean will be back Sunday night right here. YouTube Live, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And I hope you will join us then, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll get you geared up for next week's Nebraska game. We can finally start looking ahead to a real opponent again. But thank you, everybody, for joining. And we'll talk to you later. Go Bucks.